Listen, before you scroll, before you swipe, before you tell yourself this is just another opinion video, pause. Because the whispers coming out of every group chat, every barbershop, every hair braiding kitchen, and every corner store checkout line in America right now are all saying the exact same thing. Jay-Z sold you. Beyonce sold you. Russell Wilson and Ciara sold you. And Target, sweet, red bullseye, we love your community, Target, is the one holding the receipt. If that sentence just made your stomach turn, good. It should. Because by the time you finish this video, you are going to know exactly how the trap was set, exactly who said it, exactly which billionaires took the bag, and exactly why the biggest names in black culture just quietly turned themselves into the smiling faces on a corporate rescue mission that has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with saving you. This is not a rant. This is a receipt. And the receipt has names on it. Real names. Big names. Names you have been defending in comment sections for 20 years straight. You know what? Let me stop pacing. Let me sit down and just walk you through it the way I would if we were on a porch swing, or in a booth at the diner, or on the phone at midnight. Because the story I'm about to tell you is the kind of story that only makes sense when you slow it down and lay every single piece on the table. And if your favorite artist is on this list, and trust me, several of your favorites are on this list, I need you to be a grown-up for the next 20 minutes. Not a fan. Not a stan. A grown-up. Because the difference between a fan and a fool is one thing and one thing only. A fan celebrates the person. A fool funds the person even when the person is stepping on their neck. And right now, right this second, Target is betting billions of dollars that you cannot tell the difference. Billions. Not millions. Billions. With a shareholder deck behind it, a quarterly forecast behind it, a boardroom vote behind it, and a public relations firm on retainer to smooth out anything that leaks. Roll it back with me. Roll it all the way back to the moment the whole game changed. Not that long ago, in the softest, most polished corporate voice you have ever heard, Target announced something they called a review of their diversity and inclusion strategy. Corporate speak. Beige language. The kind of announcement that gets read by an intern on a Tuesday and buried by Thursday. But underneath that beige language was a wrecking ball. Because what Target actually did, what Target really did, was quietly dismantle the pipeline that had spent years pulling black-owned, women-owned, and small independent brands onto their shelves. Gone. The programs that had walked hundreds of first-generation founders through the impossible maze of national retail. The pallet sizes, the shelf stability testing, the distribution routing, the buyer meetings, the co-op marketing dollars, the seasonal placement audits, the in-cap negotiations. That entire ladder got yanked out from under people who had spent every dime they had climbing it. And Target was not alone. Walmart did it. Amazon did it. A whole convoy of American retail giants took the same politically convenient off-ramp on the same politically convenient weekend. Coincidence? Come on now. You did not come here for that kind of naive. Here is what happened next. And this is the part that Target absolutely did not plan for. Regular people. You, your cousin, your mama, your barber, the auntie who runs the bookkeeping for the church, the uncle who works the loading dock, the cousin who just started her Etsy shop. Regular people got quiet. Not loud. Quiet. And when black consumers get quiet, corporate America starts checking the cameras. Because there is a myth in this country, a myth that has been told and retold in every marketing meeting in every skyscraper for the last 50 years, that black shoppers are the most loyal spenders on earth and the least loyal to their own. That myth has propped up entire quarterly earnings calls. It has funded stock buybacks. It has paid CEO bonuses. It has bankrolled second homes in the Hamptons and third yachts in the Mediterranean. And in one quiet season, the myth cracked. Suddenly the bullseye stores in certain zip codes felt like museums. Suddenly the parking lots were emptier on Saturdays. Suddenly the shareholders, and please understand, shareholders are the only people any of these companies actually love. The shareholders started asking questions in tones no CEO ever wants to hear. That is when the phone started ringing. That is when the war rooms opened. That is when Target's marketing brain trust sat down and said out loud what they will never, ever say on the record. We need the black consumer back. And we need her back before the next earnings call. Now hear me out, because this is where the second act starts. When a corporation figures out they cannot win an audience back with substance, they always do the same thing. They rent a face. They do not fix the pipeline. They do not restore the programs. They do not call the founders they kicked off the shelves and apologize. No, they shop for a celebrity so beloved, so brand safe, so untouchable, that when that celebrity's smile appears next to a Target logo, the entire scandal quietly dissolves in the microwave of pop culture attention. That is not a theory. That is a business school textbook. That is what Kmart did with Martha Stewart. That is what J.C. Penney tried with Ellen. That is what every failing brand from the beginning of the modern retail age has done when they wanted to skip the accountability line. And in the last 12 months, Target has been shopping. Aggressively. Quietly. Expensively. Let me give you the first name on the receipt. Russell Wilson Ciara. Yes, both of them. Sitting on that couch on Keke Palmer's set, holding hands, finishing each other's sentences, telling the world how Russell and Ciara pray together and raise their kids together and lean on God together. And they are beautiful together. I am not going to sit here and pretend Russell and Ciara are not the picture-perfect family America begs for on every timeline. But then, exactly on cue, exactly at the moment your defenses melted, exactly when the whole internet said awe, exactly when the algorithm dropped that clip into every For You page in America, that is the second the pitch came out. A protein drink, a kid's drink, a wellness product. And where is it landing? Where can you buy the Wilson family's beautiful family values elixir? Say it with me. Target. The same Target. The exact Target that told a generation of small black founders you are not profitable enough for our shelves. That Target. Now here is the question nobody in the press junket asked, and nobody in the podcast interview asked, and nobody at the Good Morning America segment asked. Russell Ciara. Why Target? Of all the shelves in America, of all the D2C platforms, of all the specialty retailers, of all the independent grocery cooperatives, of every black-owned distribution channel that would have jumped through hoops to launch a Russell and Ciara product, why the store that publicly said folks who look like your neighborhood do not fit the strategy anymore? There is only one honest answer. Because the check had a lot of zeros on it. And that is not a crime. I want to be very clear. That is not a crime. Athletes and entertainers have a shelf life, and every one of them is quietly doing the math on how to convert fame into generational wealth before the spotlight moves. I do not blame Russell for taking a deal. I do not blame Ciara for taking a deal. What I am telling you, what I am screaming at you through the screen, is that when a corporation uses a beloved couple as human air freshener to cover the smell of what they just did to the community those very fans belong to, the audience deserves to know the trick is being played on them. That is the difference between a fan and a fool. A fan buys the drink because they love the family. A fool buys the drink and never notices the drink is the crowbar prying the barricade open so Target can walk right back into their neighborhood with zero consequences. And I want you to notice something about the way Russell and Ciara have been rolled out. It is not a commercial. It is not a print ad. It is not a sponsorship post. It is a sit-down interview where the couple lets you into their marriage before they let you know about the merchandise. That is not accidental sequencing. That is a script. Somebody in a conference room, whiteboard behind them, coffee cup in hand, map that emotional path exactly. First the vulnerability, then the values, then the faith, then the family, then, and only then, the product. Because the corporation understands something you deserve to understand too. The audience will buy from a stranger once. The audience will buy from a friend forever. And Russell and Ciara are being weaponized into the friend the corporation could never be on its own. But here is where the floor drops. Because Russell and Ciara are the appetizer. The main course arrived on a stage in front of 40,000 people, and the whole internet went crazy for it, and almost nobody, stopped to ask the one question that mattered. Why now? Why together? Why on that stage? Why after all these years? I am talking about Beyonce. I am talking about Jay-Z. I am talking about the 30th anniversary of Reasonable Doubt. Real quick though, let me ask you something. When was the last time Beyonce and Jay-Z did anything publicly together that was not calibrated to move an inventory? I will wait. Take your time. Scroll your memory. Nothing. Right. Because the answer is almost never. Beyonce and Jay-Z are two of the most brand-controlled human beings on the surface of this planet. They do not accidentally show up together. They do not casually appear at the same event. They do not incidentally coordinate outfits, timing, cameras, angles, or press. When Beyonce and Jay-Z are in the same frame, it is because the frame is worth exactly as much as the empire behind them decided it needed to be worth that week. And suddenly, there is a 30th anniversary celebration for an album that never got its 10th, never got its 20th, never got its 25th. 30. A number people usually skip. A number nobody in the industry marks. A number so weird that when a music historian sees it on the calendar, they raise an eyebrow. Unless there is a product attached to the stage. Unless there is a shelf waiting for the merchandise. Unless there is a corporate partner writing a check large enough to make 30 the new 25. And listen, this is not a small point. Reasonable Doubt is sacred. Reasonable Doubt is the album that built the Jay-Z we know. Reasonable Doubt is what made Jay-Z more than a rapper. What turned Jay-Z into a mythology. What let Jay-Z eventually sit across from CEOs as an equal. Nobody who understands the arc of Jay-Z's career takes a Reasonable Doubt anniversary lightly. So when Jay-Z decides, after ignoring the 10, ignoring the 20, ignoring the 25, that 30 is finally the year to plant a flag, you should be asking yourself a very cold and very grown-up question. Which sponsor got Jay-Z to give up the flag? Because a flag that valuable does not go up for free. A flag that valuable goes up because something has been signed. And once you see the signature, you cannot unsee it. Now let me connect a wire for you that most people missed. A few months back, Jay-Z and Beyonce were spotted together at a Formula One event. Not a concert, not a gala, not a charity ball. Formula One. Motorsports. My husband is a die-hard Formula One head. He watches every practice, every qualifying, every driver interview, and even he did a double take. Because Beyonce and Jay-Z do not go to sports together. They do not do date night at the racetrack. But their Beyonce was, and their Jay-Z was, camera-ready, coordinated, smiling at exactly the right angles for exactly the right lenses. And within days, the internet worked out that Beyonce and Jay-Z were quietly attached to a product launch. Not confirmed on the record, confirmed by the pattern. Because that is what happens when two people who never appear together suddenly appear together. There is always a bag in the frame that the camera is not quite showing you. Fast forward to the stage. The Reasonable Doubt anniversary. The lights come up. The crowd screams. Beyonce walks out. Beyonce sits down. And in front of 40,000 people, Beyonce pretends to be tenderly grooming Jay-Z's hair with a product. On stage. Under the lights. In front of the cameras. And the audience, bless them, bless every single one of them. The audience lost their minds. Because it looked like love. It looked like partnership. It looked like the kind of moment fans have been begging for since Beyonce and Jay-Z stood together at their own wedding. But listen to me, and listen to me carefully. Beyonce is not sitting on the floor at home rubbing product into that man's scalp. Beyonce is not braiding Jay-Z up on a Tuesday night. Beyonce is not sneaking into Jay-Z's bathroom with a jar of anything. That is a performance. That is a commercial. That is a launch event dressed up in a love song. And the product, surprise, is heading